So today's the start of the Hanoi summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, and I expect great things coming out of this meeting. I think that the matter of peace in the Koreas has been pretty much the brightest spot of Trump's presidency, though I've criticized him on a lot of stuff. The Korea talks have been pretty great as far as I'm concerned. We can have one less flashpoint or sort of tinderbox on planet Earth that could lead to nuclear war. That would be pretty great. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for a lasting peace between not only the two Koreas, but between the North Koreans and the United States. I actually think that Donald Trump is probably uniquely qualified to negotiate with the North Koreans, because I think that they can relate to him and he can relate to them, because they're both kind of cartoonish personality cult leaders. Of course, the North Koreans happen to be also crazy totalitarian Stalinists, but nevertheless, I think that Kim and Trump can get along, and I think that we saw that pan out in Singapore. The last summit, of course, in Singapore didn't accomplish much, but I think it went a long way in building a relationship between Trump and Kim. I think that Trump's well-known quality of charming people in person had an effect on Kim. Of course, if you remember, he also had that very well-produced video that was sort of like a trailer of North Korea's future, sort of in a Hollywood fashion, which I think probably appealed a lot to Kim's ego. I think that the two leaders here are certainly on the same page as far as what their goals are. They both want to be rich and look good and make great deals that people will be proud of. Now, those are very vague goals, but that's what makes it so promising, is that as long as they achieve that, they can achieve that through many different means. Gives them both a lot of flexibility, since neither of them really have anything to lose except for perhaps a war, which doesn't look too likely to me. I think that Kim at this point is pretty happy if he comes out looking of this situation looking like Deng Xiaoping. He's not going to turn North Korea into a South Korean-style liberal democracy, or certainly he wouldn't merge the two countries, but he'll at least get it to the point to where his people are increasing in wealth and will be able to feed themselves. You know, North Korea is starting from such a low bar. Kim doesn't have to give up much power to greatly enrich the country and make his citizens a lot better off, and he will certainly take all the credit for that domestically. In whatever Kim ends up giving up in these negotiations, he likely will end up strengthening his own position domestically. Now, with respect to Trump, I think that it's very likely in this after this summit, if they agree to pulling some of the troops out of South Korea, the U.S. troops. Nothing really happened in Singapore, if you remember, in that summit, because that was more about just the fact of an American president meeting with the leader of North Korea. That was the history-making part there, but he has to do something in this meeting to make it worthwhile. It can't just be more of the same from Singapore. Trump has to do something to make the sequel more exciting than the original, and I think pulling troops out of South Korea, which is something that Trump has voiced support for in the past, would be a good step in that direction. Even if the North Koreans don't really give up anything material, even if they just say, "Oh yeah, we'll not make bombs" or something, it doesn't matter. If the U.S. pulls some troops out of there, I think that's a win. Now, the neocons on CNN and probably Fox as well will cry foul and say how Trump is surrendering and giving up everything that America stands for and how he loves dictators and all this nonsense. But in reality, even the neocons realize that Trump is not giving up anything by pulling troops out of South Korea, because the troops are not there to protect us from North Korea. They never have been. North Korea has always been a pretense. The only reason why the troops are there is in case the U.S. ever decides to invade China. And then we would march through North Korea, sort of like the Germans marched through Belgium. This is the reason why the American presence in South Korea is unpopular both in North and South Korea, because North and South Korea don't want to get dragged into a war between China and the United States. And additionally, if Trump doesn't make a deal here in Hanoi, President Moon of South Korea was already, before Trump started engaging with Kim, was already moving towards trying to broker some kind of peace between the two countries, because the South Koreans are tired of the conflict between North and South Korea, and they're pretty well ready to make amends and to make a deal with or without the United States. Trump really has no choice but to try and get out in front of Moon because of this and make a deal himself, or else he risks looking like he's falling behind, because inevitably there will be a deal between the two to end the war. So I think the crowning achievement of Trump's presidency will ultimately be a peace treaty to end the Korean War officially, because the Korean War officially never ended. There was just a ceasefire. Now, I don't think that there will be a treaty draft coming out of this particular summit in Hanoi, but I think that we'll see something that's a step in the right direction. And certainly any treaty to end the Korean War will include a complete U.S. withdrawal from South Korea. I think that's about certain. Neither North nor South Korea has any interest in keeping U.S. troops there. Additionally, out of all this, I think that we will see North Korea start to open somewhat, and ultimately getting to the point to at least where China is. I think that Kim has a great interest in getting there and being the man that does it. Sort of the man who brings North Korea out of the shadows and into the sun. If you've made it this far, please do like this video and hit the subscribe button. I very much appreciate it, and leave your comments below, because I'm certainly not the expert on North Korea. I'm not Michael Malice or anything. So I'm interested really in everyone else's opinion. This is just my take. So we'll keep up the daily videos and see you all tomorrow.